All right, so actually, Seb, while we wait for more attendees to join, I actually had a question for this meeting. So I was looking through the documentation for text, and I I noticed, like a lot of those functions take patterns, and then when I looked at pattern, it was its own. It looked like its own type, and it didn't seem to be like a regular expression. Which I'm normally with text manipulation, I'm used to using regular expressions. So I just like
There is.
I'm just want to see like an example of like how a pattern is used.
Okay. So let me share my screen.
I mean, is it regular expressions or is it?
No, it's not. There is no regular expression in Motoko right now. I think
I was
there
gonna make a
is.
library for that probably.
Yeah, there is some bounty, I think, about like working on that. I think Quint started working on that at one point, but yeah, there is nothing right now really useful.
I mean, it's one thing
So
to use regular expressions, another thing to like add functionality for it.
yeah, that's another level.
Yeah.
So you can use a pattern like that. So let pattern of type pattern, and let's say I want a pattern. So a pattern is either a car, a text, or a predicate. So let's say it's a car. So this is a variant type, like with the symbol. And the variant type as a type like itself, like this is like saying, okay, this is the car, and then you put the car, the actual value you want in parentheses like that. So you need the parentheses, and you also need the single quotes because it's a car and not a text. If you do that, then it's a text. Okay, and I think I can remove that. And so let me try something. So test maybe. So, okay, let's try an example of a split maybe. So let's use text.lit. That's text.split. Split. So text dot split. So you need to provide the text and the pattern. So let's say we want to split hello. What did you say? Chocolate?
Yeah, chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate is a good one. So chocolate. Wait, what? Yeah, I think there is something odd with the Motoko playground on my side. I don't know if you guys
you need to
have
import
also
the text, right?
Yeah. I know. But sometimes, okay, yeah, sometimes I just like the Motoko playground. Like
Yeah,
I'm
it
writing
skips to
something,
the
and
end of the line.
yeah, it
moves to the
skips
end.
to the end of the file. I have no idea why. Well, anyway.
Yeah, sometimes
So the first parameter is the text, and the second is the pattern. So let's put our pattern. So here, the pattern here. Right, parenthesis. Oh, so it returns an iter. Maybe I can do something easier like replace.
Yeah,
so replace return a text. So I will replace the pattern with the text. So let's say I replace it with Z. So we should get yeah.
I want to pattern that. I'm gonna make Zolate. Zolate. Zocolat.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's interesting because actually the car C.
Yeah, because it's capital. It's not
C.
the same character. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same. So it just replaced this one. Okay, so does it answer the question? And so the pattern can also be a text. So for example, it could be this with the, like show. And it could also be something really interesting, which is a predicate. So you specify a car and you specify a function that takes a car and return a bool. So for example, you can have a function that I don't know, if you want multiple character to be deleted, you can create a function like let predicate equal equals a func that takes a car and return a bool. And if C equal I don't know, A, or C equal B.
Well, you can do stuff like with that, like if it's lowercase.
Yeah, you can also do something really nice, like a car that is, I mean, it's in the car library.
What about
is white space, is lowercase? You can combine like a lot of different of those functions to basically create your predicates, and you can replace with the text replace. So it's quite strong.
Okay, so okay, so like for example, one of the patterns I had wanted to make was just get me the first character. So what I would have needed to do is create a function. Oh no, because then that only gives out a bool. Like yeah, so like with if I had a pattern, can I do any variables? Like searching for C or so is fine, but like what if I want to just find any lower? Well, I think pattern could do lowercase number, but like I guess this is pretty limited compared to regular expression, right?
Yeah. It's
there's no like variables. Yeah. Like I wish the predicate could be more than bool. Like if the predicate could. Yeah.
So yeah, okay. You're trying to get the first character of a text, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also trying to do that with the. I was in Discord with in the beginner Discord. We were like discussing, and I was trying to do that. So it's a bit annoying. You can do a loop and just keep the the first value.
That's what I ended up doing. I just felt like it wasn't very elegant. It's like, okay, this is a lot of lines of code to just find the first character.
Yeah, exactly. You can also like put all the character inside an array and just take the first element of the array. If there is an easy way to do that, I would like to know, but I'm not sure.
I thought there would be like maybe a first, because I mean I think for array you can just do first, right? Or of course you could just find the
you can iterate index. You can iterate through the character and just keep the first one. So I think that's the only way to do it.
Okay, well that's kind of what I did. So I just wanted to see it, make sure I wasn't basically missing something, because I didn't quite see another way. All right, so I'll open this up. So anybody who wants to ask another question, I was just asking about the patterns type for the text type. Functions.
I also have the cursor jumping to the end of the script randomly. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, raise your hand if you have a question. We've got 2 great dev mentors online right now.
There is a question. I cannot manage to call a function as parameter if it's not set as private.
Just to quickly add to the discussion that we were currently having. So there is a simple implementation for Motoko, but again, it's not as powerful as something like a JavaScript Motoko, regular expressions or something. So ideally, if you need to deal with regexes, it's best to do it client side using JavaScript. So I just pasted in a link in the chat for the Motoko regex. So that is something to be aware of. But again, it's not that powerful.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So the person trying to call a function in his code using await, I think it's because so you need to specify. I mean, you need also the type of the function to be the type difference between a private and a public function. You need to make it a shared function so you can use it in your code. I would like to see an example though.
Do we want to get R to share their screen so we can see?
Yeah.
All right. R, is that okay with you? Do you want to share your screen or? Are you there? You're on mute. He has this, oh, he can't talk right now. He has a screenshot in the playground. All right, so we've got Douglas here.
You can directly share a link to the playground. It would be easier for us. In the playground, you have a button in the top right corner called Save and Share. And it will create a link for you, and you can just use the link to share the code.
All right, Douglas, you have your hand up. Do you want to unmute and ask your question? Douglas? Oh.
Hey, I'm trying to just find just the documentation that have all the lists of the functions down the side. And what he's using on that first tab, I can't find that. Why is that?
So if you just go to smart contracts, or you'll have the documentation link. If you click on documentation, on the left hand side, you have Motoko base library. Just expand that. That has a list of everything in the base library. And if you click on any one of those links, it will have those list of functions on the right hand side. So ideally, use smart contracts org. That is the parent documentation website. On the left, you have broad navigation, and Motoko base library is what you're looking for.
Oh, how do you do this? Oh, I don't see it. Oh, yeah.
I think that question is answered, yes?
Sorry, I was on mute. I was saying I had also, Googled Dfinity Motoko base library, and you can find the GitHub and actually see all of the functions they have, all the public functions they make available. All right. Anyone else wants to ask a question?
Also, you can use the search bar. It's very useful. Like if you type array, you will get the array module directly. If you type text, you will get the text module and so on.
Exactly. All right, any other questions? Everyone have a pretty easy time with the daily challenges then?
Right. He shared share the code. So okay. So he has a private function. You want to capitalize text. Yeah, text.map. Okay. Yeah, you cannot, even if you do it with the public function and you want to await, you cannot put an asynchronous function here because text.map is expecting, I can show you, text.map is expecting a function that is not asynchronous. If you could put something like car to async or maybe, you know, something like that. But this function is not async. So you cannot put an async function, even if you want to await. Map wouldn't let you do that. So yeah, usually you want to create private function of some of your public function. You also want to, for example, add an underscore before to, it's a convention to specify that it's a private function. You can also remove the private. I've used it in all presentations so far, just to like show people the difference between private and public, but by default, if you just write func, it's a private one. Yeah, and you want some function, you want them as public and other as private, and other as both. Yeah, because you don't want to wait. Like if you can remove any await in your code, do it, because it's annoying for everyone to await, users, developers, everyone.
Hold on. So I opened the link that was shared. So for me, it deploys perfectly fine. What is the error over here?
I don't think there is an error, but he was saying that he cannot, like he needed to create the private function capitalized character. And because the first challenge, the challenge 4, if I remember correctly, is to create a public function that takes a character and returns the capitalized version of this character. And then the second question is to create the same function, but for a text. So I think a lot of people try to use the challenge 4 to solve the challenge 5, which is a good way to do it. But the problem is that you need to make a synchronous copy of like a private copy of the public version to use in your code.
So one thing to note over here is, like, you will probably use this in a lot of other places as well. You don't have to create a separate function. You can just do the function inline. So this capitalized character 2 that you have over here, you could just write an anonymous function inside it and do whatever operations you need to do. You don't have to create a completely separate function for it. So ideally, it will look something like this. Maybe Seb, if you want, you can just show, like, replace that underscore capitalized character and do an inline function over there and copy paste to the.
Yeah, so maybe for this one, it's a bit. I think it's a bit challenging to do it with an anonymous function. I don't remember the exact syntax.
So you can just copy the entire thing from above and remove the name. It will just work.
Right.
Yeah. And remove the underscore capitalized character.
Oh.
Yep. So this will just, there's a semicolon at the very end. That needs to be removed. Yep. So this should just work. But basically what we are doing is we are creating an anonymous function instead of creating a separate function. So in JavaScript and all, you will also have used a lot of this. These are also called lambda functions. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
All right, great. Anybody else have any other questions? Well, if nobody needs help with tech support, oh, there's Crypto Kai.
Yeah, sorry. I don't, yeah, the thing is, I don't know, just speaking personally, I struggled a lot with these challenges, so I don't get really far in the challenges. So I guess if no one's actually got much questions, it would be helpful for me if you could just, and obviously the submission date's passed anyway, so you could just go through and like give the answers for all of them, so we can like at least have reverse engineers the ones that even maybe we didn't even get a chance to even start, or at least learn the logic. If you don't mind doing it, I don't know.
Or maybe let's pick like one or two of the ones. Like what was one of the ones that you struggled with the most?
Once I was stuck, right? So I was stuck on 3, but I've already had a discussion, so I know how to do it now. And I've seen people have been talking about 4, but like I haven't even looked at like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, for example. Like, I haven't even looked at them because I didn't even get that far. Do you know what I mean? So
some
maybe,
general advice over here. So we will be publishing the solutions, and if you want, we can also do a few of those challenges right now. But as like a general sort of advice that I have for everybody is try doing this yourself, even if you get stuck, even if you're not able to stop and like go do something else for an hour or two and let your brain process that in the background. So once you again come back, you will notice that you have some fresh insights or some fresh things to try. The reason is because these are supposed to make you think, and you're supposed to struggle with these challenges, because these are not like Motoko specific things. These are general programming challenges. Essentially, like even a like seasoned developer would need to stop and think before they can solve all of these. So it's good that you're struggling, which means you're having to think about these things and sort of trying to work through these problems. So I think that's a good thing, but keep at it. If you keep at it, over time you'll notice that these things become easier and you'll get better. But I can totally imagine, like, the feeling can be very frustrating when you're stuck for hours and you're not able to do a simple problem. But yeah, that's some general advice.
Yeah, and like we've talked about, even if you just like get started on the first few, and for the and just commit that still counts as an attempt before the deadline. Maybe you didn't come up with the right answers or really solve all of them, but we're just looking that you're trying basically before you get the solutions come out.
Okay, so I've just tried like trying to solve the challenge 1. So challenge 1 is asking me to write NAT to NAT8. So I want to convert my NAT to a NAT8. So that's like, yeah, that's what I want to do. This function is bad. That's what I say, because if I try to do that, oh, so my canister trapped explicitly, it's losing precision. So a NAT8 stored on 8 bits, which is a byte, can only like store numbers between 0 and 255. So if I try to do like this one, probably it will work. So, okay, my function seems to work, but I just need to make sure that I don't trap. So what I want to do is, if n is higher than 255, I will just return. So I need the return value. I mean, I could, return like, this is not correct. But the problem is that I want the return value here to also be a NAT8. So let's settle on, I guess, 0. Like just a choice. I could return 25. Just need the value. And now it should be good. Yeah, by the way, something, if you write just a number, you know, like that, you know, like it could be a NAT or a NAT32, like how does Motoko know that 0 is of type NAT8? It's just that, like, yeah, it knows it because you want to return a NAT8.
Yeah, so I actually had a question about some of the other problems that deal with chars. Our functions, it doesn't look like Candid has a char.
No, so yeah, this
so
is,
we
this is
take
really...
them as, we just take them as text, because that's what I was doing. That's the only way I can make it work.
No, so okay, so challenge 4, for example, capitalize a character. So this function should take a car and return a car, like that. The problem is that, like, maybe if I try to do that, just a simple function like that. The problem is that the char type in Motoko doesn't have, I mean, it doesn't exist in in Candid, this char things. It's abstracted away as NAT32, which is really annoying. So if you think like, okay, I'm going to send, I don't know, C, you cannot convert C to a big int, which is really annoying. So you need to, yeah, this challenge is, I wanted to do this challenge, but I mean, I think now that I have like more input on it, I think it doesn't make sense to ask this challenge because basically what I'm asking is to convert the car to, you know, an Unicode value, ASCII value, and like basically use the ASCII table to, where is it?
So I guess the challenge would say like take a text of size 1 and return a text of size 1 to be accurate.
Yeah, you can also do it like that using text. It would be more visual. That's what I've done in the Discord with some of the guys. I've done like I've shown how to use the text. Yeah, so basically what I'm asking is, you know, to convert a -a to a capital A, a -b to a capital B using the ASCII table. So like going through the decimal conversion and then making the right subtraction to like move, you know. But yeah, the problem is that I'm asking to go through Unicode, but the Candid type is already the Unicode point, which is really confusing because yeah, this is only Candid. This is only the fault of Candid. We have I think we have the lecture on Candid tomorrow.
So, okay, so what if it wasn't a public function? What if it was an internal function? Would you be able to use char as an input to a function if it's just purely internal? Because then it wouldn't need to go through Candid, right? Well, I guess everything has to go through.
Well, you can do it, yes, for sure. But
okay, like, so if it's private, if it's not a public function, then it could take a char.
But it's taking a char here. It's just that the char in the Candid UI is NAT32. Like it's there is, I mean, there is one layer of protection between you and Motoko. You cannot directly talk like in Motoko to the canister. There is the Candid layer of protection, and yeah. So basically, like this is you. This is like Candid here, and there is Motoko canister here, and here you have a char. And the Candid is a NAT32, and you're trying to, you know, talk to Motoko, but you have to go through Candid. So your char is already a NAT32
Okay, so if you
So
put
if you really wanted
97,
to use char, you could just take it as a variable. So essentially declare a variable, let c equal to c colon char, and then give it a equal to a value and call your function from the outside. So your function doesn't take in an input and it doesn't return an input, but basically you can just print it if you want.
Yeah. So you would
That
want
is
to
one
create a,
workaround.
you would want to
sorry, go on.
you want to create a type like this one? I mean, that's what you
No,
was
no. I meant like let some variable, let x, yeah, whatever, some variable colon char
Mhm.
equal
yeah,
to,
like that.
yeah, and
Okay,
then
yes.
basically you write your logic inside the function.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
you would still get the okay.
But yeah, because can't put it. So for nat 32, so if I put 97 in there, would it return the nat 32 of the capital A basically?
Yes. So
okay.
we don't have the implementation right now, but
yeah.
Like if you write
well, in that case, you could just use char and just in JavaScript do the translation.
Yeah, but it's a Motoko Bootcamp.
I know. It's still annoying though. Yeah.
Yeah, let me just just copy and paste everything.
And some
So,
I won't say advice, but it's like I do a lot of like practical programming with Motoko at this stage. So like some like tidbits of wisdom in this case is ideally I would suggest if you're dealing with numbers, just use nat. Don't like if you're writing large programs for the sake of the bootcamp, obviously you want to learn what is available, but like when you're actually writing production applications, what you'll find is mostly when you're doing numbers, you'll be using nat, the unbound type, and when you're doing text, you'll mostly use text. Like you'll hardly ever use char, or you'll hardly ever use nat 8 or nat 16 and so on. But yeah, it's good to know that these exist.
okay, so I think that's what you were saying is like define the car here instead of using kanji to specify the car.
Exactly.
So that way,
Exactly.
that way we should actually see like that our function is working. So if we call text, we should get a C, a capital C. I hope, yes, that's okay. So does it answer your question, Isaac?
Yeah. This is Nagia, you can unmute.
Yeah, hi everyone. I have the issue with the Git because I tried to add my second repository into the GitHub, but it seems like when I add them, they don't add the repository in the GitHub. Can you help me out?
Sure. We'll need I think we'll need to ask you to share your screen.
Yeah, sure. In 1
All
minute.
right. In just a bit, I'll give you permission right now.
I think I need to log out to your my laptop. Can you just give me 1 second? I'm gonna have you like log in now.
Sure. Yeah, and make sure that you don't have anything on your screen that you don't want. So yes, when are the day 3 challenge is coming out?
Oh yeah, don't worry, the day 3 challenges are ready. They are waiting for you.
All right, they're waiting for me. I'm ready for them. They don't know what's coming. R wants a break to keep up with all the bits. There are a lot today. This is going to be the most packed day, I think, other than, it might be the most packed day. I think there's like 7 sessions altogether.
Yeah, to all the beginners, it's insane what you are doing right now. Like trying to learn Motoko plus like what is a binary plus like, you know, everything else. So yeah, good job everyone.
Well, you know, sometimes I think, you know, even though it might be stressful and stuff right now, a lot of this will sink in, especially after boot camp. You know, you kind of take your time to look through some of these things as you continue building, and start making more and more sense. But this
Yeah,
kind of
and I'm
kicks you
sure
off fast.
some people have said like, okay, after the bootcamp, I'm probably going to like take a JavaScript course or whatever, another language course. I think they will like see a lot of other, a lot of concepts they are learning right now. They will just see them again and say, oh, okay, so now I get it.
Yeah, project deadline is still Saturday. But the lectures yesterday, there was a few good lectures on NFTs. They kind of take you like 80% of the way there. So it's totally doable.
So, no other question? I can take a nap.
Well, I thought we had somebody who was going to share their screen, but I'm not sure what happened. All right, so here we got two questions. Hussein.
Hello, Shay. I have a question about
You there?
states and share type lesson. I think it isn't available for us on the Google Drive.
I think you were cut in the middle of your sentence.
Okay, my microphone is working right now.
Yeah, it's working now.
Yeah.
The Motoko table states and share type lesson is not available on the Google Drive.
Oh, yes. Yes. So we haven't published it right.
But there's announcements, and I want to warn about. Okay.
Oh, okay. So Duke has said that he has uploaded it. Okay, let me verify. So sometimes it takes a few minutes to synchronize between all drives. So
Maybe he put it on in just the wrong folder, probably.
yeah, I cannot see it. I can't find it personally.
Is it available to you or just me?
No. I can't find it.
Yeah, he must have gotten mistaken. He's asleep now too, because he's
Yeah,
taking on a lot of lectures in the afternoon. It'll be up in a few hours, because he has to wake up and try again uploading it. I think maybe he thought he uploaded it and he didn't or something.
Thanks.
I can see any other video than the two first. None in any folder. That's not normal label. That's really not normal. I can see like day 1, day 2, day 3. You have mentorships and lecture every time. You have a few videos. Maybe refresh or I don't know, but that's very strange.
What do you mean? What's missing?
Someone is saying in the chat that you can only see the two videos, like start here and how to submit the challenges, sheet, I guess, but not other in the folders.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I can see all the rest. They're in there. You might just need a refresh. Oh, I found it. Mutable states. It's in day 8 lectures. I'm gonna move it to the right spot. All right. Yeah. So go ahead and check again. You should see it under day 4, March 8th lectures. Motoko mutable states. Okay, he's saying it's working out. Great. Ara asked how long is it safe to the playground canister when you share? I think 20 minutes.
No, so the link that you share is ephemeral, so it will stay alive like forever or till the time the Motoko playground is active. However, when you deploy a canister, you will notice that that is actually deployed to the mainnet and it gives you a canister ID. So that is only there for 20 minutes. But if you need to redeploy it again, you just go to your playground link and click deploy again, it will deploy. So your code link is always available. It's just the canister that gets deployed, which is recycled.
Okay, cool. So I just want to ask, like, what are some other experiences with the boot camp? Like, what are some other things people are going through? I just want to check in on y'all because I know Seb had hoped for these sessions to not be just technical troubleshooting. Maybe Seb could ask it, but we just want to hear maybe some feedback about like what your journey's been like so far.
Yeah, I've already asked yesterday. I was also chatting in the Discord with people, and I've asked like a few feedback from beginners mainly. But if you want to add something, so what we've discussed is the main thing is that beginners, it's too difficult like for much of them. I mean, I think they are doing really great, but so what was discussed is that maybe we could do a pre-bootcamp or something before to just like explain to beginners how to use GitHub, how to Or maybe it should be resources available on the internet, and they should like prove that they have a certain level before joining the bootcamp.
I think we'll probably do something like online course.
Yeah. Sorry, Isaac, go ahead.
Yeah, I think next time we'll do like a slower online course, and you know, like this whole event came up crazy fast last minute. It was a bit, kind of a mad rush getting this ready, because we didn't really start until January, and then we announced it February, and then now it's early March. But next time we'll give them like they'll know that the bootcamp's coming up many months in advance, and they'll have like an online course that steps them through things they can learn at their own time to get past a lot of the beginner hurdles. So Ellie?
Yes, I just wanted to say that what you're trying to do, I understood yesterday while we were talking with Seb on Discord, is that you think that people don't necessarily have to go through many years of studying computer science in order to code, and it's a new way of learning, and I really think it's good, and that you should keep this direction. So for this, I'm really grateful. Thank you, and also for the support, Seb. You are always with us, and it's very supportive. So for me, it helped me a lot, because I understand that I lack some basic, but still I want to go, and I will do what I can. And so for next time, I would suggest that, as Seb said, maybe to have some basic that is understood before starting, and also yeah, maybe the challenges a little bit less for one day, and maybe a little easier. But I think it's yeah, it's very good opportunity. So I'm very happy, and thank you again.
Sounds great to hear. Thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah, thanks. I still think that you need to go through several years of computer science if you want to become a really good developer. But what I think is that you can learn as you go, you know, instead of just having like 5 years of computer science and then trying to develop on the internet computer. You can like try to develop, and sometimes like when I'm working, I take a break for a few hours, or like one day if I need it, and I just go through like really advanced topic that I know I need to have like for my future years, and I need it like to do something precisely. So I will, you know, go back to the theory and try to learn it. But yeah, I think it's better to do it that way, because after that I have like an immediate opportunity to just train with what I've learned. So that's what I think. But yeah, I still think like it takes several years to really become proficient with all those concepts.
All right, and by the way, I'd love to hear from intermediate too. But we have Herta.
Yeah. I'm not intermediate and beginner though, but just a bit feedback. First of all, thank you for hosting this bootcamp. It's really great. And that 7-minute video of Seb how to upload to GitHub, it helped me a lot. So for the next bootcamp, put that in the start. That would help a lot, because personally, I have never used GitHub before, and I spent a couple of hours just to understand how the order should be, uploading the challenges and everything. Just want to put it out there so you know for next time. But I mean, you're doing a great job. This, as you said, you have little time to prepare, and it's now we're doing the boot camp, and it's great support. I think it's just for next time. That video is super good, I think.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Seb, I appreciate that video as well, and that has been one of the takeaways. I think we just didn't fully anticipate the difficulty of GitHub for beginners, and that is something we kind of had to notice. And yeah, I think that's something we'll need to focus on streamlining. Yeah. So I appreciate your feedback there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, yeah. So this bootcamp is actually a very good platform for the beginners to actually explore their skills and the rest of them for the intermediate. But somehow, if you don't really have core programming basis, you might likely find it very difficult to do this bootcamp. But again, I like it. Just that Dave, what I want to suggest is like Mr. Seb, actually is it Mr. Seb that said that like organizing a pre-bootcamp stuff for people to actually have a general basic programming concept, then they can jump into that. Like for some of us here that are actually coming from JavaScript aspect, it puts a lot of work. We've tried to relate most of the things we've actually done in JavaScript, bringing it down to Motoko. So it's actually very good also. But then having a kind of pre-bootcamp stuff so that everybody can be on the same page. People that are actually beginners will get to know what they actually involve in, and then the intermediates will know what they actually involve in. Because currently, some people here, most of us don't even know how to do basic HTML stuff like the CSS. But it's just that in ICP they've actually taken care of some of the workload from us, like building the candid where we can just test run something. But then somehow it's actually good for those people that want to venture into back-end development. Yeah, it's actually going to be good because most of the code we're actually building kind of looks like something we'll be using for the back-end aspect. So, but generally, we need to have a pre-bootcamp stuff for everybody so that the people can be on the same page and know what they're actually expecting and be able to choose their level of interest. So it's actually good. So thank you so much. For before now, I didn't have this zeal to be so much into my computer programming, but this bootcamp has really taught me that I need to do crazy things every day to make sure I get to wherever I want to get. So it's actually a push-up for all of us here. So thank you so much. I so much appreciate it.
Thanks, Abraham. Yeah, and just keep at it and keep practice for it. It does get easier and more familiar. Like I'm speaking as a learner myself. I'm learning Motoko myself. But I'm saying programming in general. Like a lot of the concepts and the challenges are for intermediates. They're just syntax issues because they've seen a lot of these things before and everything. So you'll get those instincts. One thing I want to put out there, and the dev mentors, I would love to hear your thoughts too. So I'm thinking about the format for the next bootcamp. One of the things that we've been considering is, well, first off, we're going to have more time ahead of time. So I was thinking of maybe finding some third-party resources. There's lots of third-party resources that teach like a Node.js website, like basic Node.js website and GitHub skills. I think that would be helpful for a lot of super beginners. And then the first week would be just for beginners. And then there'd be a second week that would be intermediate. And so the beginners who finish the first week would go into the second week. And then, but people who already have coding experience would just join the second week. And then there'd be a third week that's an open hackathon for the whole ecosystem. And so it's kind of like a normal hackathon, except for there's an on-ramp for people who didn't already know how to code on Motoko to learn leading up to the hackathon. What do you all think on that? Like, does anybody have thoughts about that approach? Because that's something I've been playing with.
I think it's amazing. I really agree. Yeah, if I can have it without spending 3 months preparing it.
Well, that's the thing is most boot camps are 3 months, 3 or 4 months long for a reason. There's a lot of material. But we could have a hackathon maybe with like 3 tiers. So like that way nobody has to worry about a core project or doing a core project alone. It's just the third week would be a hackathon, and maybe there's just the people who originally joined as beginners, and then the intermediates, and then I guess just the experienced ones, and there'd just be different teams, like different tiers of teams, because you don't want a team where it's like one beginner and all experts, because then obviously you're not really going to get a chance to participate. But yeah, Siakad, what do you think? All right. Well, Crypto Kaiku, what do you got?
All right, yeah, I just wanted to give some feedback. And yeah, I mean, the course has been really a lot of fun, really challenging, and it's like, but it's good, like, you know, to push yourself and like you know, try to work things out logically and like use what resources you have, like Googling things and, you know, working with your other people in the Discord to try and work things out. Like, it's been a fun process to go through all of that. But one thing I'm thinking is just like, and I think what it kind of might be from a beginner's perspective to make Motoko really like fun for beginners is like we obviously need the more resources that will come through time, because it's like with a lot of the stuff where we don't know it, it's like I'll Google something, right? And then I'll find the Python way of doing it. But like also I'm a beginner, so I don't really know Python. And then I'm trying to convert the Python way into another way that I know even less, which is the Motoko way. And so I feel like we really like to make Motoko like really good and fun and for beginners to learn. It has to have like, we shouldn't have to rely on learning Python to then learn Motoko, if that makes sense, or learning JavaScript to then learn Motoko. Motoko needs to get to the point eventually where it has its own materials that teach you the fundamentals and then teaches you the examples in Motoko way. So then you can actually start with just like a Motoko brain, if that makes sense, from a beginner perspective, without like being
that's exactly like what I'm trying to do with, you know, all the challenges, all the guides, all the resources that we are putting together. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Like, I want Motoko to be a possible first language. That's like that's the end goal of all of this. I want it to be possible that people start with Motoko, and yeah, that's the goal. Because basically right now it's really difficult to start with Motoko. But I want it, like, you know, it's each generation of developer has like its language, you know, of like a lot of people started with C, like old developers, more experimented developer, I would say. Then you have like the new generation which started with Python, and a lot of people with JavaScript. I want a generation of people with Motoko as a first language.
Yeah, that would be ideal. So it's just like, yeah, I know it's going to take time for us just to get the materials built up, and the community, as long as it keeps growing, it will get there. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. But yeah, like I said, I'm just enjoying being pushed, you know, and having to go outside of you know, like actually think, comfort zone. So yeah, it's been fun. Although it's very difficult, it's been fun. Like, I feel like even if I can't complete the challenges and stuff, I'm not really discouraged, because it's actually motivating me more, so that once the course is finished, then I can start filling all the gaps that I have with all that extra time. So yeah.
And once you learn this skill and how to build stuff, nobody can ever take that away from you. I mean, learning, if you're learning anything, that's a success you can be proud of. So I'm glad to hear that. And just a background on Seb, guys. Seb started Motoko School a while back. And part of the motivation for this bootcamp is a lot of these resources y'all are talking about, we know that the community needs them, but like none of the people who, all the people who know how the material are incredibly busy. So that's part of the reason that we have such a condensed timeline. It's because we just got all these busy people who have this expertise and got them together to kind of bulk create this content that the ecosystem needs all in one shot. It's kind of a one of the core aspects of this whole experiment, so to speak. So yeah, hopefully after all we're done with all this, we'll have so much more educational content in the ecosystem that will help beginners for a long time to come. Abraham, you can go.
Okay. Yeah. Something I want to say is that, you know, it's very funny that when you look at the world of software development, most people that are actually doing well into that are people outside computer science, like from the other departments, other aspects of life, like the other professions of life, like the baristas, like medical students, people who study different things other than computer science. If you watch, they're actually the ones doing well in programming. Why did I say that? Because most people in computer science, they have these challenges of selection, right? Like before they choose a language, they need to start putting things into consideration. At the end of the day, they get distracted. So having Motoko as a first language is actually a good approach. And I will tell you that most people that are going to do well in this bootcamp of a thing are people who is seeing Motoko as their first language, people who have not gotten a pre-programming language from other aspects of programming languages. They have not gotten to understand idea of other programming language, that this Motoko is actually their first programming language. They're actually going to put in their best because they are not going to be distracted. But if you look at some of us that have actually had some other languages, though it's an advantage when people put in their interest into it. But then there's this distraction, trying to do some comparisons. And this is why most people in computer science don't actually really go far or do what they want to do, except those that have actually put their interest. So making Motoko the first programming language for people is actually going to be awesome, because there's going to be much to contribute and much to gain. So that's just my take. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, totally agree on that. Also, I think for like a few reasons, Motoko is a really good language as a first language. There is just the problem of resources right now, but I mean, the structure of the language itself, I think it's a really good way to, it's a really good language. Like, I would say, like, better than like learning JavaScript as a first language. It's a totally like subjective thing, but I think there are a lot of advantage to Motoko in terms of like how you think about your variables, your functions, and everything.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say that it's really the only language that can be your first language if you want to go straight into blockchain. Like, because I've learned Solidity and stuff, and you kind of, it's not for straight beginners. You can't just go straight into blockchain with really any other language than Motoko, I wouldn't think, and at least not nearly as easily. So that's going to be an exciting aspect. I think blockchains has brought a lot of the beginners here because they're excited about that aspect. All right. Well, hey, we're a little over time, so I'm going to wrap this up. We got to prepare for the next lecture, but hope you all have a great rest of your day. We've got lots of sessions coming, and yeah, keep trucking along and working on your core projects and your challenges. You all have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.